Hi kids, it's Rowan, and my bus is brutally late, so I'm hoping that actually, taking some video might help it show up. I know it's been forever since I've done a video, and part of that is because my young man who I'm cohabitating with, he had vacation time from his job, and he basically took a week off. Hold on a sec. Fucking hell. He basically took a week off vegging out in the front room, which is where I usually film, and for some reason, creative endeavors and I do best when I am by myself. Certain kinds of work I really do best by myself, and this is vaguely creative, so I have been uncomfortable filming at home, and then this last week happened, and I had to get a whole lot of other things done that I couldn't do while he was taking up space in the front room and not doing anything, and my bus is coming, so I will get to this when I have to wait for the next bus. Okay, so let's hope you can hear me. I've got a few minutes before the bus comes, and then what happens? So I'm not happy that the video I'm making after nearly 2 weeks away is gonna come down on somebody who, they seem like a very, very sweet person, especially since the previous video I made was coming down on somebody. I was recommended a video from Jordan Shrinks. That's her channel name and Instagram. Where she's oh god, she's introducing almost every video lately with, "Oh, I lost 130 pounds," and there's the bus. God damn it. So yeah, I'm just gonna keep the intro part because I think, I don't know, I like the sort of haphazard sort of thing I've been doing with just random sort of setups. So yeah, I started last night making a video, and then I got home because the bus kept coming on time, as soon as I started doing things, and I came home and my young man I'm cohabitating with was home and being a lump again, and he had to be up early for work today, brutally early, earlier than he ever has to be, and I've got about little under an hour before I absolutely have to take the recycling in. Wait, I can't tell if that says 1:15 or 2:15. Oh wait. I definitely wouldn't say 2:15. I can't. Maybe it's just a little after 2. I don't know. The clock in my kitchen is fast because I've decided that keeping fast clocks, even when I know they're all set fast, it keeps me from being late because I can never remember exactly how fast. So, what was I saying? Oh yeah, so the Jordan Shrinks videos, I've been hoping to drop about 3 stone, and I discovered her, and she's been pitching at the beginning of every video with, "Oh, and I lost 130 pounds," and I'm like, great for you, I don't know, I hope this is just her channel identity, so I've actually, not found anything she's said very useful because, and, I'm sure there are going to be people coming down on me because, like I said, I realize I'm fat, and I would like to drop about 3 stone, which, do the maths on that, that's 42, yeah, that's 42 pounds, so 1 stone is 14, and so that would be 14 times 3, or 7 times 6, and 7 times 6 is 42. So yes, I would really like to drop about 3 stone this year. So far, it's been slow moving because I can't move very much. I've got a lot of pain, so being mobile is not the easiest thing in the world for me to be. And I don't eat much, I eat moderate portions to begin with, breakfast a day, coffee, and it's got a bit of half and half in it, and This one has sugar in it, but usually it's the sugar-free version, but there was raspberry. And I hadn't seen raspberry before, and I wanted to try it. I've had about a handful of almonds and one of these things, because I had an Ibotta rebate for them, and so I picked up, like, the strawberry ones and the apple cinnamon ones, and I just had a strawberry one. Like, you know, my food intake, like, this is actually, like, the biggest breakfast I've had in a while. Usually it's just, like, you know, the coffee, and, oh, yeah, I have, like, a small, like, traditional juice glass size, so this is about 4.5 ounces. I think it's 5 when it's, like, full up to where, I got cheese spread in this for crackers, but it's a juice glass, basically. And I think when it's filled up to here, it's 5 ounces, but I usually fill it to just about there, so let's imagine, like, 4.5, roughly. So I have, juice with my pills, and I have, well, right now it's the chocolate milk version. Some kind of almond milk, or lately it's been the Bolthouse branded plant milk, which is made from peas. You know, for people with nut and soy allergies. And I've got a soy allergy, and I had an Ibotta rebate for $2 back from a bottle of Bolthouse. So it costs about, oh god, actually it's a lot more expensive per ounce, but I got $2 cash, which I took out, and okay, some of it went to cat food, but a lot of it went to a lot of it went to Bandcamp. But that's beside the point. So let's see, we've got about 80 calories here. The coffee itself is nothing, but let's see, given about the amount of half and half I have, let's say about 90 calories per breakfast. And then, like I said, usually, oh yeah, I definitely use in the area of the 2 tablespoons serving size. I use less per, like just a little quick splash, which is like maybe a teaspoon or so. So 90, 90, 180. This is about half the recommended serving size, and I know that's 120, so let's say 60 there. Then we've got, ooh, crap's falling out. 210 there. Like I said, that's the biggest breakfast, and I can't imagine I've even had a full ounce of this. And even so, that's like 170 calories. So you know, that's an okay sized meal. That's an okay sized meal. You know, I've got all the nutrients I need. Not a whole lot of iron though. But do we even have? Oh, we've got 8% iron in. Well, 4% at what I ate approximately. Negligible amount of calories from my pills, if any. Oh shit, that's right, there's no iron in cream. I can't find where it is in here. Fiber, lots of fiber. Whoa, 21% fiber, sugars, protein, vitamin A, vitamin C, calcium. Oh, 4% iron. So, okay, yeah, I'm going pretty well on the nutrients angle. You know, unfortunately, as far as, you know, the Jordan Shrinks channel goes, I'm sure she's a very lovely girl, and I'm sure she means very well, but I kind of have to unsubscribe from her because, well, some backstory is my stepmother is a social worker. I think she's retired now. She's pushing 80, so she's a social worker. This is what she went to school for. She has a doctorate in this. One of her specialties that she did a whole lot of classes on was nutrition classes for mothers on WIC and food stamps, especially young mothers, like usually in their late teens and early 20s. You know, she did nutrition classes for WIC, because at least in Lenawee County, I think at the time in the 90s, that was part of the agreement to be on WIC, was you had to take these classes. And she did home visits and all that, but, you know, she did nutritional classes. And so I've kind of absorbed some of her knowledge just from her talking about her classes and how she was setting things up, and sometimes she'd rope me into helping, you know, with some basic stuff, as long as, you know, like keeping the case files out, which is easy, because, you know, you're just setting up things for a class, you're not setting up things for home visits. So I have a little bit of nutritional background. You may not as much as she did, of course. And I've also been watching a lot of people. One of my favorite YouTubers who's not goth-related is Unnatural Vegan. And even though I myself am not vegan, she has a pretty solid layperson knowledge of nutrition. And she is very quick to call out fad diets, and unhealthy, disordered eating. She herself has expressed, sometimes subtly, sometimes very explicitly, that she herself has a background in disordered eating. And so one of the things that she does is, like, if, she, momentarily forgets at a new restaurant, oh, hey, make sure there's no cheese in this, or something, and it comes with cheese on it, or or if they make her tacos and, with meat instead of, beans, she says, she's got a video, explicitly titled, it was, it was gross, but I ate it anyway. Because she has that history with disordered eating, and, she's decided that, she's going to eat this, not just because she is ethically against food waste, but because, accepting the fact that it won't completely destroy her, ethics, it won't completely destroy, her health to eat this one thing that, it won't help, it won't trigger a spiral back into disordered eating. That's the impression I get from her saying these things. And, I also, was very briefly a candy striper. Oh god, I'm showing my age, at a hospital, and they'd often put me in a ward, with young women who were recovering from eating disorders. So I have, a slightly higher than average knowledge of, nutrition and eating disorder than the average layperson. I still consider this, more than adequate layperson's knowledge, so I'm not proclaiming to be an expert, but Jordan has expressed a lot of things, though she doesn't explicitly call it disordered eating, but she's expressed a lot of symptoms of disordered eating. First off, in her video titled, stupid things she did when she was 130 pounds heavier, she describes what's basically binge eating disorder, which, to really, grasp that it's a disorder, think of it like bulimia without the purge, to be honest. So, she describes how, she would, make, multiple portions, because that's what the recipe called for, and, would eat a, reasonable, moderate-sized portion, in front of people, and then put away the rest in containers, and say, oh, this is, just, like, my lunches for the week, and then, as soon as, like, everybody else in the house was out, or late at night, she'd get up in the middle of the night, and then just binge on all the rest of those portions that she'd made. And I don't really do that. The most I've ever, the main reason I'm fat is because either A, I will just, if I've, I don't exactly stress eat. Sometimes I'll just, nibble, more when I'm bored, or last night I did all of my chores in one go before, all the stores closed, and I just figured, you know what, fuck it, I'm home, I've got a little bit of pain, I'm going to take my pain medication, and I'm just going to finish that. I want to say it was in the area of a full pint left of Rocky Road ice cream. Maybe a bit more, but, it's like, she expressed that, she lied about this, and, she tried to, cover up, she tried to make excuses for this in front of other people, but in private, she would, it was disordered binge eating. it was a disordered overeating. You know, I'll just like, you know, like if the thing on the box of macaroni and cheese says, you know, it's 2.5 or 3 servings, I'll split it up into just 2 servings and either offer my young man the other half or save the rest for later. Sometimes later is around my dinner time. Sometimes later is later in the week. On occasion, though, if I realize that I skipped lunch, I'll just eat the full thing before at dinner. But again, it's like, what I do is, you know, your average overeating things, and even then, it's like, you know, that's why I'm fat. I overeat in a regular, non-disordered way. Do I have to? No, that's another thing that's in the way. What the crap? Oh, that's that. She's expressed a history of disordered overeating, you know, to, like, you know, she knew this was wrong, and, you know, she did very disordered, you know, unstable things to, you know, try and, you know, cover this up. And she still seems to, advocate and express her own habits of continued disordered eating, although now it's going in the direction of orthorexia. And I say this because, first off, she pitches things like cleanses. And she advocates cleanses, she endorses cleanses, and long story short, there's no such thing as a cleanse diet. Anybody who believes that there is such a thing as a cleanse diet is either A, grossly ignorant of how, you know, human nutrition works, or B, is trying to sell you something, or some combination thereof. I think in her case, it's largely out of ignorance that is, you know, that is enforced by orthorexia. Because, you know, she's not really doing any sponsored videos that we can tell. So, like, one thing that Unnatural Vegan has tackled in her own videos, is her name Swayze? I'll just call her Unnatural Vegan. That's how you can find her on YouTube. So one thing that Unnatural Vegan has specifically tackled is the potato cleanse, and, you know, or the potato diet, you know, where basically you can eat as many potatoes as you want, cooked up any way that you want, you know, with a couple very basic condiments, and Unnatural Vegan has expressed that, you know, this is not a cleanse. There's no such thing as a cleanse diet. This is not even a healthy, nutritionally complete diet. It is a fast. It is a fast, and Unnatural Vegan does not endorse fasting. Jordan, on the other hand, does call it a cleanse. She does insist to high heavens that it is nutritionally complete and healthy. And while potatoes do have, you know, significant nutrients in them that a lot of people take for granted because they're so fucking cheap, and at the same time they're so fucking starchy and all that, it's like, you know, they have a fair amount of nutrition for them. There's a reason they've been poverty food for, you know, for a couple of centuries in Ireland, is because, you know, they are a pretty filling, you know, high nutrient staple, but they're not nutritionally complete. And Jordan's pitching this as, oh, well, it's not really a long-term diet, but it's more of a cleanse. And like, no, that should be a tip-off right there, that this is disordered eating, because there's no such thing as a cleanse. There's no such thing as a cleanse diet. And, you know, and she's insisting to high heavens for the ads, potatoes are healthy! No, potatoes are healthy! They've got all you need in them! I'm like, no, they don't! No, they don't! Look up the nutritional information on potatoes, and, you know, it's a fast. It is fasting. You know, it is fasting, and, you know, it's just all you're eating is potatoes, you know, a very short list of non-starchy vegetables, and, you know, yeah, you're going to drop a lot of weight when you're fasting. Duh! That's how fasting works. She's also Jordan has also described herself as currently eating raw vegan and unnatural vegan. After being raw for, oh god, at minimum of 4 years, I think she said 7 in other videos. Unnatural vegan is very against raw diets. First off, it's almost impossible for the average person to eat a nutritionally complete diet eating only raw, especially, if only for the price, if only for the cost of eating raw. The second, you're not going to meet all of your nutrients. Third, because most of what you're eating as a raw diet, as a raw vegan, is going to be fruit. That is taking in a lot of sugar. And unnatural vegan, she even made a video about how, toward the end of her eating raw, she had, 15 cavities, in a dental checkup that was, 2 or 3 years since her last one. So, you're destroying your teeth because of all the sugars you're taking in. And yes, it's from fruit. So, yes, it's a better source of sugar than, candies and milkshakes and all that. But you're still taking in far more sugar than your body needs. It's dancing around on your tooth enamel because some fruits will just stick around on your teeth. And that's really where the cavity risks from sugars come from, as explained by my stepmother, especially if you're drinking with a straw, a soda is marginally better for your teeth than, white bread, because white bread will stick to your teeth, the sugars will stick around longer, so it's not a huge difference, but, that's how the sugars, work, is the fruit, they'll stick to your teeth, and it just, it'll eat away at the enamel because it's high sugar. It's a high sugar diet. So, I do wish her well, but, I was initially interested in her channel because, as I said at the beginning of the year, I do hope to drop about 3 stone this year. That's a perfectly reasonable goal for dropping weight. I am quite fat still, even though I dropped about 80 pounds. And see, how I dropped 80 pounds, part of it was related to getting healthier habits and being more active, even though it was by necessity. I moved back to the Ypsilanti area after living with an ex of mine for about a decade. Part of it was in the Ypsilanti area, but he moved to Lansing. I followed him because I couldn't afford to live on my own. He moved out to Lansing for work. I moved back to the Ypsilanti area, in part because his girlfriend at the time was kind of a cunt, and she wanted to move in with him, and I'm just like, nope, can't do it. And, my ex was like, well, good. I'm like, yeah, whatever, dude. And so I moved back here, and, a huge part was I wanted to be closer to my doctors, and then I discovered taking the bus to the doctors actually takes longer than, but that's because the Ann Arbor bus sucks. So, because the Ann Arbor bus sucks, I end up doing a lot of walking. So, I'm walking to and from bus stops more than I was in the 10-plus years I was living with Scott, who would often offer to drive me everywhere. And when he didn't offer, he put up little to no protest. So, in part because I'd usually ask around his schedule, I'd ask, hey, what are you doing X? Oh, I'm doing X. Okay, I can do that the next day, if you're not busy. And, that's how we'd work it out. So he'd drive me everywhere, I wouldn't have to walk everywhere. So now I'm doing a combination of walking and taking the bus, and, I'm doing a lot more activity, obviously, and also, very shortly after I moved back to the area, this is going on, let's see, Nigel's going to be 6 in June, so this is going, oh shit, this is going on 4 years ago now, isn't it? What the fuck? So shortly after I moved back to the area, I updated my info with DHS to get my food stamps, hooked up to my new address, which is what you're supposed to do. Okay, I did everything I was supposed to do, but the way I was supposed to do it was made very unclear to me with all of this paperwork that they sent me, which was more than I'd ever seen in my life. It looked like I needed to only do one thing. I needed to do two things. I did the second thing after the deadline, and long story short, it took them, let's see, November, December, January, February, March, April. It took them about 6 months to get it all sorted out. It took them 6 months to get it all sorted out. And so I went from about $160 a month to eat on, well, $165 a month to eat on, to $16 a month to eat on. And now that it's all been sorted out, I'm like $191 a month to eat on, because the cost of living around here is so much higher than it is in Lansing. But yeah, so I was pretty much living off of food pantries, which really don't give you that much to, you know, eat on. So I was hitting like every food pantry as often as I was allowed to during that 6 months. But still, it's like it was winter, so a lot of it was pain dependent, which meant I couldn't always go every week. I was also living off of gift cards friends would send me for grocery stores, and I would fill out the rest with that last $16. I also got in the habit of shoplifting groceries at that time. So yeah, I did, you know, I lost a lot of weight because I could not afford to eat very much. And I ended up putting on about 20 of that pounds back after I got back to, you know, eating what I should be, rather than, you know, basically like, you know, all but fasting. So, yeah, like I said, I'm sure she's a lovely girl. She does seem quite lovely. She does seem to mean very well, but I genuinely think she's orthorexic. I genuinely think she's got orthorexia, which I know is kind of a contested diagnosis because, you know, but she does seem to show all of the signs that Swayze at Unnatural Vegan has talked about, you know, her own history with this and other disordered eating, and I wish her the best, and I wish she, you know, I wish she, you know, stays physically healthy. I wish her to, you know, gain a healthier relationship with food, even if she does remain vegan, you know, which, you know, is certainly quite possible, you know, just, like, she shouldn't be raw, because it's not nutritionally complete, it is very expensive, it's very high in sugar, and, you know, it's, you know, again, I wish her well, I do, I wish her well, she seems quite lovely, but she's got an eating disorder. And she's had disordered eating since before she lost all this weight. And if you wish to, you know, gain healthier eating habits and healthier lifestyle tips, there are a lot of people on YouTube and elsewhere on the internet who will give you much better information than she does. And while she does couch this all in, oh, I'm not a nutritionist, I'm just giving, you know, I'm just offering advice based on my own experiences, I'm like, that doesn't help. That doesn't really help, because realistically, she ought to know that people are watching her. That people are watching her channel because she had such a massive weight loss, and, you know, they want to do what she did, you know, to have similar help, you know, to have similar weight loss, and she's not an expert, but, you know, she knows that, you know, this is something that people are going to look to her as an expert on, and, you know, just because she couches it in, you know, this certain language doesn't mean that, you know, doesn't absolve her of responsibility. She's got an eating disorder. I genuinely believe she has an eating disorder. You know, if I was able to diagnose her, you know, from my position, I would probably come to that conclusion, because, like I said, she's checking off all of the signs that Unnatural Vegan talks about, you know, with her own history of disordered eating. And, you know, like I said, she seems quite lovely. I wish her well, but I really hope she gains a healthier relationship with food, which she does not seem to have, and it seems she has not had this for a very long time. So I'm really sorry that after about 2 weeks away, I came back with all but shit posting and drama posting, but that's how it is. I've been mulling on this idea for a while, and I just figured, why not? You know, now's as good a time as any. I do it now or I do it later, and I might as well do it now while I've got all the ideas fresh in my head after thinking about it very thoroughly last night while running errands. Alright, sweethearts. I am going off to take in the... Ooh, I should take in the recycling in a couple minutes. I gotta, like, throw some clothes on. For once, I actually am naked. I want to talk about a couple of my hate comments that I got from one person. And they're hilarious. And I responded to them in the comments with good humor, but it's like... Really? I'm getting hate comments, so this means I must be coming into my own on YouTube. Alright, sweethearts. Bats and kisses, and I love you, bye-bye.